Get my decks out. I'm working on something today, a creative project, but I am just getting interrupted. And so I'm going to come on here and talk to you about some things. If you hear anybody in the background, that's my family. But yeah, I'm going to pull cards so that I can get back to what I was doing. Thank you.
I made you lunchtime oatmeal. It's that rice, but it's oatmeal.
Thank you.
Interesting.
She made me food. So this card is about redefining rest. Staring out the window and gazing at the sky or a tree is rest. Sometimes you just need a nap, and it's good to do that when you need those things. But there's also all of the in between. And I very much feel like a lot of us are in this very uncomfortable in between of we're expanding, we are cutting away. Um, I know for me, sometimes I have an expectation that, oh, this annoying thing won't happen to me anymore because I've done this or that or the other thing. Um, and I'm doing this and I'm taking this on. And so I shouldn't have to deal with this stuff over here anymore. But sometimes it comes back around, either because I let it or because it's just there and I have to deal with it. So it's really something about that becoming part. I think in our culture, we have a lot of, well, you're a hypocrite because you say you're for this and then you do that. And, it's sort of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. It feels like that. It can feel like that. Um, I don't like getting sucked into that because then we just stay where we are. And then 5 years pass and we're like, oh my God, why didn't I do anything about that? Now I'm in the same place and I'm starting in the same position. You get what I mean? It says, in a culture focused on hyper productivity, it can feel uncomfortable to sit and do nothing. Let silence wash over you. Doing nothing is a radical part of your lifelong rest practice. To be intentional about embodying rest disrupts systems of oppression. We must practice rest. We must commit to it as a protest. We must go slow, go stare at the sky, go stare at your heart. You might have heard about the intelligence of the heart. There are a lot of people who talk about ways to get there. If you're a more systems-minded, science-minded person, the Heart Math Institute has done a lot of research on this kind of thing. And then when a lot of teachers talk about just sitting in nature and connecting with your heartbeat, being with yourself in between the beats and noticing the interconnectivity of you and nature. That's one of the things that they're getting at there. There's a ability to respond that you can access by slowing down And really, you have to slow down. I don't like telling people you have to do X, Y, or Z, but if you're interested in finding, if you're seeking something that you don't have, um, and you have a sense that it is within you, but you just you don't have access to it yet, slow down and be patient with yourself. You might feel like you should already have access to this ability. And then once you have it, it's not instantly applied 100% of the time. You're not always in that mode, even if you're someone who can access it. Now, that's just my experience. You might access it and then you're on 100% of the time, but from what I've noticed, that's not how it works. There's a lot of this in between stuff. This morning, there were two or three things that happened just in rapid succession that I was like, why is this even happening to me right now? I got a little bit caught up in a thought loop, and I thought I had done the things to make sure that those things weren't happening to me anymore. But then I was in them and they did bother me. They did noticeably bother me. And I did work with them differently. It didn't look like 100% the way I would have ideally wanted it to happen, but it was different than before. And I think that's part of it. Not expecting yourself to just have it all together simply because you've had a realization, or two. We're all learning. We're all coming out of this. This one's talking about the systems we live under being trash, and that we're enough and we can rest. It's talking about individual and collective rituals of healing for yourself and your community. If you can't unplug for a whole day, can you do it for an hour, 2 hours? How can you bring rest practices into your day? I mean, literally making a cup of tea, cooking, insert whatever it is here for you. But that's part of what I was getting at. We've been living under these oppressive systems for thousands of years, and they are just kind of blowing up in our face right now. So every single one of us is learning to come out of this pattern where we demand and expect so much of ourselves and other people. So whether or not you feel like you're seeing the progress, and that's another thing, progress, it's happening. And then sometimes you'll see a glimpse of unlearning. You'll see the ways that that's actually coming through you now, and it still won't feel like enough if you're like me, but it is there, and I'm noticing it, and I'm happy to see it. All right, I'm going to bring in the plants. Okay, we got a couple cards, and then somebody else was standing out to me when I cut the deck. There she is. It's quite a bit of Pluto in here. There's ayahuasca, rebirth. You don't have to work with the plant to learn about the plant. You don't have to ingest her to sit with her, although you can. Ayahuasca has Pluto, Jupiter, and Neptune here. So I would say that transformative stripping away of conditioning and the ways that we utilize our power or give away our power. Neptune being sort of like a veil of illusion. And then Jupiter being very expansive because once you do that inner work, you can then more intentionally decide what it is you want to bring into your life. So if like that kind of rebirth thing is happening for you right now, double down on the not like lower your expectations of yourself, but when you slip up, don't beat yourself up about it and be in some type of like, I should know better than this energy. Just, you know, be in a place of responding the next time if you can, rather than reacting. Coca, foresight. We have Uranus and Venus in here. I'm going to cover her up a bit, but I can show you part of the card there. 36. There's something about a reveal of what's important to you happening quickly. Like, where do you place your money, time, energy? Venus has a lot of associations with our money and what it is that we want. Um, there are some mountains in the background of this card here. Some of the realizations might be difficult. Maybe the difference between what I, you, we, he, she has been valuing versus what our future self would be valuing, and how do we get from like this point to the other one. I think potentially one of the things here um, is to turn the focus away from how big the chasm is from where you are to where you want to be, and more toward discerning what it is and intuiting what it is that you actually want so that you can start to turn your focus toward that. Because at the end of the day, sometimes you have to redirect energy to get to where you want to go, but a lot of it is that sword there. A lot of it is cutting away things that you're prioritizing that are no longer going to be a priority for you moving into the next phase of whatever it is that you are or you're doing. Okay, this plant here, kava kava. There's a lot of transformation going on. You see the butterfly, you see Pluto up here, the moon. Um, if you're into astrology, work with those placements in your chart and they will be insightful for this kind of stuff. But yeah, community, what can I say? I think a lot of you already know this. Gotta work together. I know that a lot of you are more introverted. Um, I don't think I need to preach to you on this subject because I've heard anyone who's going to be here watching this video, I've already heard you talk about the importance of finding community and building it. And that's something we're learning, right? That's like part of this rebirth thing and coming out of thousands of years of patriarchal and hyper individualistic conditioning. We're all unlearning that right now. Yesterday, I was at a potluck. I brought Leonard to this potluck that I felt that I really wanted to be at. I knew there would probably be several people that I wanted to connect with on a deeper level who would be there, and they were there. It, I heard from them that there are a lot of us out there who are looking to build community, and who are saying that word and speaking it out into the world, which is good, but that a lot of us don't know how to be in community. They expressed to me, everybody wants a village, but nobody wants to be the villager. And, it does kind of pain me to see certain people really like picking up the yoke and taking on a huge portion of the work, but I know in the beginning that that's just kind of the way that the cookie will crumble. So many people are unlearning their conditioning, and they're in a place where we still, a lot of us still need to be working on getting out of the fear-based narrative, that a lot of us came into before we can healthily interact with others in a way that's regenerative and truly restorative. And that's a whole journey that don't rush it. I think it's okay to put some of your focus there, and to intentionally be reaching out to people and um, finding people who are already doing the things that you believe that you should be doing. But the should comes from here. It doesn't come usually from here, in my experience. Um, and it doesn't come from some book or some person telling you what to do. It's whatever it is that you're being led toward, and finding people who are already doing those things. Hopefully, not just talking about doing them, hopefully, that they're already doing them. And sometimes these people aren't the easiest to get along with because they may have been doing the work out there alone or with one or two other people for years. But they're doing it because they know they're building a foundation that the rest of us will need. So getting out there and doing the things. It has been such an interesting journey. because it really is a small world. Like the group of people who are out there doing the things that I'm being led to, I've met uh, quite a large number of them who are in my area doing those things. And, we all know each other at this point. Okay. One more card, please, Spirit. Okay, great. I asked for one more and then I kept shuffling. But we have enough here to work with. Is there anything else that I need to see on community? Yeah. So one thing that happens when you're doing this thing, you really start to unravel. You might start to unravel some of the ways that you were communicating previously. Because when people see that you are about it and that you are doing what you're called to do in the world, you don't have to explain that to them. And so there's no need to over explain. There's no need to justify why you weren't able to show up to that thing or why you can do this at this thing, but not that other thing. You know what I mean? It's just sort of like um, when you found something that really feels like part of what is yours to do in the world, that energy is obvious to the ones who are also called to do that thing. And it's a different type of relationship. There are so many opportunities to move away from enmeshed patterns in relationship, to move away from expectation of others in an unhealthy way. There are so many opportunities to work on communication, and collaboration, obviously. So building community does highlight a lot of the shadow, but it's really, yeah, it's transformative. New moon in Virgo, it says a time to give rather than take, and it's reversed. It's reversed. So take what resonates, but maybe you are in a time where you just need to receive. Maybe that's from others, maybe it's from yourself. Maybe yourself, a part of yourself is looking for validation, attention, affirmation, nurturing, something like this. I've been making like warm, cozy soups and stews. Um, Leonard will eat that, but my kids are like, sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. So, and it takes it takes a long time. Some of these things you cook slowly over the whole day. You have to cut up all of these, all the ingredients, but it's worth it because I don't feel yucky and like spicy, just like a little bit. And I mean, I'm talking about spices, not like hot spicy. I'm talking about like allspice, cinnamon, um, putting those in there. And it's just very warming and comforting. And I love food. But there have been a lot of foods that I'm locked out of. And to be fair, I asked for that to happen, but I'm definitely having to find my way, because there's a lot of things that I've been asking to go that have been going. And then once they're gone, I'm like, oh, what do I do? Time to give rather than take. So yeah, tap into, do you need to, would it be generative for you to give right now? Would it be generative for you to ask for help, ask for something that you need that might be externally? It could be internally. What do you need to give to yourself to slow down, to give yourself grace through this unlearning process and this whole, just making sure her stuff is covered up, this whole rebirth and regeneration process? This shit is intense, okay? I'm right here with you. I'm going through this shit with you, okay? Next one, it says you're very close to achieving your goal. Gibbous moon. We knew that. And funnily enough, is the current phase of the moon. We're heading into the full moon in Taurus. I might make a video about that. And then we also have a new moon in Libra energy coming in. We did just pass through Libra season. It's all about relationship. It says here a new romantic cycle begins. It could be. So, I mean, yes, if you're in a romantic relationship of any way, shape, or form, yeah, you know what? That's fine. Sometimes I want to avoid love stuff in my whatever readings because, but I would say that that's true. Like relationships of any kind. I think it's just leaving that out, if anything, but a new beginning in relationships related to maybe how you're communicating, how you're interacting with each other, how the balance is working. Maybe the way that it used to work is not working anymore. So renegotiating, not necessarily contracts, like these things are not always contractual, but sometimes they kind of are because if there's an expectation set, that's a contract. Okay. What are some other things that are being redefined right now? I'm gonna get out this this deck here. It's very nice deck, like, but it goes relatively deep if you let it. It's also huge and very hard to shuffle. There's like 90 cards in it. Okay. So with each card, there is a trigger statement and a true statement. And this one's related to awareness. Um, it's sandalwood, and it says trigger statement, I never get what I want. True statement, I'm a powerful creator. Listen to your inner voice, release your ideas of the outcome you wish to see, and trust that you are aligned with the universe. So this is throwing me back to the card over here with Venus on it. Um, Here we go. Sometimes if you're trying to manifest a specific outcome, there is such thing as being too specific. So you might, for example, be trying to manifest peace, but you're doing it in a way that maybe you're calling in a certain amount of money or um, a very specific outcome, living in a very specific place, but that outcome may not be aligned with your peace at all. You just can't see it yet. So you may be creating the experience of not getting what you want because it's actually align for your highest good, like that kind of a thing. Um, and the slowing down will help with that. It will help you kind of see more multidimensionally into why something may or may not be a good idea. Okay, one more. Okay, I like this one. Good fortune. Trigger statement, there is not enough. True statement, I attract abundance. Feel the joy you would have once you have reached your goals here and now. You will achieve your dreams fastest that way. And wild orange is the essential oil on the card. Yeah, so that's a good follow-up tip. A lot of people say that to feel the feeling rather than trying to manifest the mansion or the um, whatever. There is not enough. I attract abundance. Yeah, like I said, we're all unlearning a lot of these things at the same time. And even if we're in different places on that unlearning journey, we're mostly all kind of clumped, together. If you're at a different place in the clump, like who cares, you know? Um, there is not enough is a really big one that we were programmed with. We were definitely pushed toward feeling like we need much more than we need, in my opinion, if you were to ask me. So getting in touch with what abundance means to you, that's big. And this full moon coming up here will illuminate a lot of a lot of that for you if you choose to tap in. So there's that. I'm going to end this here and I'll be back in a day or two. Bye.